Hey everyone, welcome to Trail Talk. My name's Aaron Shimmons, your host for another show about trail and ultra running. This week, I'm joined by the OGs. You know who they are, Brian, Troy, and Ricky. And we're going to talk about TRE, the running event, and all of the gear that was announced last weekend in Austin. We're going to give you our hot takes on that, our reactions, give it to you straight with no punches pulled, as they say. Anyway, let's get on with the show. All right, guys, welcome back for another show. This one is all about the shoes that we saw at the running event last week. Some really cool looking equipment dropping, and we have some images and stuff to sort through. But we'll just touch on some of the little bits of news that have dropped in the sport over the past 7 days, and the first being the messaging getting added into Strava. So, I mean, it's not something that I particularly will find useful, but who knows, maybe like sort of group runs and stuff might end up messaging there rather than having to join a WhatsApp group and all this type of thing. Brian, what do you think? Strava messaging, any good?
I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, if I'm a business owner, right, I'm going to probably try and always be innovating and offering new services or features to get my product talked about again, which is what we're doing here. So they won there. They're relevant again. I know their subscription price or something like that was in the news recently for going up in cost. So nice for them to add a feature to kind of justify that. So maybe from a, if I put my business hat on, I could understand why they would do this. Functionality wise, like, no, I mean, if I've been on Strava for the last 5 or 6 years, I never thought I needed this feature. So it's not bringing any tangible value to me that I'm going to be using. The only use case is what you said. Or again, it's going to deteriorate into like, everybody slide it into Strava messages now that everybody's already laughing about. So I'm not going to use it, but good for them.
Strava is one of these apps that I have notifications turned off on, because why do you need to know when someone has given you kudos on a run? And what else is there? It's just like a bit of a handier training log stroke social training log. It's not actually used properly for training analysis. Troy, what do you think? Useful for you or not?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of use cases over my last like 8 years of using the platform where I'll go on a run and someone that's in my local community but I don't have direct contact to will ask me a question, right? And I've just been like, I've literally like dropped my phone number into the comments of my runs to be like, hey, just hit me up. And people are like, oh man, you don't have to put your phone number out there. I'm like, I don't really care, one way or the other. I guess I'm gonna in this day and age, you're gonna get spammed regardless of whether or not you share your cell phone number. So, I mean, I've had use cases where being able to communicate directly with someone that's a part of my local running community, it made sense. I mean, at this day and age, there's like so many places where we can all connect. I think there could be some fun use of this for actual running groups that you're a part of or that you follow in Strava in order to like have one-on-one communication with people. But at that point, there's also chat form, there's kind of a messaging or communication form like through comments. I have personally loved all of the memes that I've seen floating around, kind of dropping a little shade on it. Like, I personally thought it was great because it's something that I thought I wanted. I haven't used it yet, so we'll see. But, my favorite one was like, who was it? But they basically had like Courtney's avatar and it was like, hey, nice run / bride, how are you doing? And it's like, Courtney, is that really you? And they're like, yep, it's really me, kind of in a bind here. Is there any way you could send me some Visa gift cards? And it was kind of like, the idea is like the amount of scams that are going to happen. And I thought it was kind of funny. A lot of people, there are so many people through my social channels that are just not been happy with the rollout, and they think that there's other features they'd rather see Strava have. I imagine, I don't know, Aaron, I'd love your thought on like how you rank order improvements on a tech platform. But at the same time, I imagine this is probably the most upvote across. This is like probably the most upvoted feature that people want, on top of the most probably downvoted feature that people want across their platform, right? It probably splits their user group 50-50. So anyway, I don't know. To be determined, honestly. I thought it was interesting, and I do agree with Wolfie. It's definitely a way to continue to talk about Strava. So
I think it's pretty hard to vote for any feature update in Strava. I think that whole knowledge base feature suggestion thing is where dreams go to die. It's an absolute bucket in the back corner of their office. None of that stuff ever gets done. How long were people saying to them, please, can we add new shoes using the mobile app? You tell us you're a mobile first company, and this took like 6 years for us to even get it in web. And now I think a better feature than adding messaging in would have been, what about we can sort the shoes by date, sort the shoes by alphabetical order? What about that killer feature that must be super easy to implement? Any use for you, the Strava messaging?
No use. When I saw it drop, when I saw it come out, I was like, going, I don't get it. It's like a WhatsApp group for Strava. I don't even subscribe to Strava. Like, I'm on Strava, but I don't pay those subscription fees because I don't get the bang for my buck out of Strava. Strava is basically a running log for me because I'm too lazy to write it down. I just need to know how much I ran and how long it took me to run that far. I don't need to message people or get messages, and you can already message people. Somebody can go onto my page and say, oh, great run, Ricky, and give me a thumbs up, and I can give them a thumbs up. And if I want to engage with that person, I just put in there at whatever, at Aaron Simmons, whatever, at, and I can engage with that person like a DM. But so I don't get it. I don't feel the need for it. You could have done something way better, but I'm not that interested in Strava anyway. I just think it's a running log. That's it. If you really want to go down the road of like an actual training app, you'd have to go for something like Training Peaks or something like that, something that actually works. Strava's just a running log. You don't need to be messaging people on it.
Do better, Strava. Well, fuck's sake, Brian. I'm trying to move on from Strava here.
You bring up a good point. You bring up a great point about the shoe functionality, and you're going to actually like the point I'm about to make. See,
go.
I think Nnormal and Killian need to get ahead of this with the Kai box coming out. They need to have a sub function in shoes now for which midsole you're logging the mileage on. I mean, you better get your boy on it. Otherwise, I don't know how these Kai box users are going to adapt into Strava to be able to track their midsole usage. So get on it, guys. I see an opportunity here.
That's Kai Boix, by the way. It's Kai Boix. So
Kai Boix.
That sounds stupid. It's never going to be that. I think you got that pronunciation from the Swap podcast. That's the only, Megan Roach is the only other person that I heard say it like that. And
she got that from me, and I literally came up with that on the fly on our last call. I mean, on our last recording. So anyway,
okay. Got it. Yeah, I'm not going to reply to you on that one, Wolfie. I do have a response, but in the interest of moving on from Strava messaging, we'll leave it for another day. So this weekend we have UTMB Thailand Thailand event. It's the major for that area, that region. Yeah, great news, blah, blah, blah. What I want to mention is, we all know what happened, the breakup between Crown Malcolm and UTMB. 1/3 of Trail Society, and the other 2/3 of Trail Society are racing in this UTMB event this weekend. So Kelly Henninger has posted that, well, she's doing the 100-miler for a start. She has posted that, yeah, it's a bit of a conflict, lots of thought have gone into this, blah, blah, blah. And, we'll address it afterwards. We're going to do a pod about it. Fantastic. Hillary hasn't mentioned anything. She's lining up in the 100K. So, yeah. What do you think of this, Brian? I'm expecting you to drop a spice bomb here, so let me hear it.
Yeah, I mean, actions speak louder than words. So I'm getting about sick of all the sob story posts that are going on, all social media channels about boycott this, or this is the final straw. I'm backing out. I stand with Corinne. But clearly you stand on the start line of UTMB, especially a race that serves as one of the best opportunities in terms of diluted competition for you to then waltz right into whichever UTMB event you want to run, or Western States event that if you aren't already in the race. So again, opportunistic is probably the best way I would sum it up for those two ladies. And I mean, hey, sisters are family, and family are going to have their issues. And I mean, I'm just reveling in the hypocrisy of what this is symbolizing to me. Because yeah, like I said, when I started this off, actions speak louder than words. And I'm not knocking them, but just, I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Don't talk out of both sides of your mouth and expect me to give you authenticity for standing with your compatriot here. So that's my take on it. I got a lot more to say. We could probably open this up to a whole new segment if the audience thinks that it's worthwhile, but we'll leave it there.
Yeah, I think we'll maybe touch on this on another show once we've heard a little bit more about it, because we've really just heard Corinne's statement and nothing else is factual. You know, that's her side of it. We haven't heard any other side. We've just heard reaction to that, and we're not adding anything more than reaction. One other thing just to point out, and maybe give you a bit more ammo here, Troy. There are 4 spots for Western States coming out of this event, and I just think that feels like off, given UTMB, like with shit on the wall, pie on their face, whatever we want to call it, over the past couple of months. It just feels like this UTMB Western States thing, they need to just sever that relationship, because nobody's getting anything out of it. So it just feels wrong. Troy, give us something on that.
Yeah, and just to clarify, is that 4 spots for men and women combined, or for each?
No, I think it's 4 spots from the event in total.
Okay, yeah. So it's a standard golden ticket race. Yeah, I mean, this looks like this is where Keely feels like she can actually get that ticket back to States without having to, battle tooth and nail at Black Canyon. I think Black Canyon for her would be not a coin toss, but like so much more competition for her to get that golden ticket. So I personally would love to. I would have loved to have seen Hillary and Keely both, kind of pull out of this event and kind of stand in solidarity with Corinne. I think it would have been huge to see that happen from 2, known and adored pros in the sport to really take a stand there. That being said, it's Wolfie's kind of on that actions speak louder than words, and I'm personally just disappointed. Like, my take is I'm extremely disappointed that those 2 ladies didn't take this opportunity to really put their money where their mouth was. But I also would have loved to see Keely. I mean, I would love to see Keely show back up at Black Canyon and throw down like she did last year to win her golden ticket. So it's not like she can't do it, and she had an amazing race there. So.
I know you boys are harping on about, she should have pulled out of this and pulled out of that to stick up for her friend or whatever. But I mean, at the end of the day, she is a professional athlete, and she's looking at this as my way back into Western States, and I think this is the easiest way of doing that. So I totally get her reasoning for doing it. Yeah, it's probably not perfect timing on like her hypocrisy side of things, like it's making her look a bit bad, but at the same time, if she comes out of there with a golden ticket, she's not going to give a crap what we think.
That's very true. Who would care what we're thinking?
I don't think she'd care if she didn't get a golden ticket, or even right now. So
let's move on and talk about TRE. Kick it off with Nike coming out with the Zegama 2, launching in May 24. Basically, they've added a Vibram outsole, and it's going to be $170, which is probably, I'm going to say, like 150 quid. So, Brian, what do you think? Any interest there? Do you think that's going to be a popular shoe?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, even though I'm not a big fan of Nike for different reasons, but yeah, I mean, I think year over year, probably since I don't know, maybe like 2022, they've started trying to reinvest in a visible way to the trail community, right? Showing up at some of these activations with some pretty cool things, right? So I think runners are excited for Nike Trail now. They seem to have figured out some of their grip compounds, which was some of their biggest complaints. So, I mean, that was a very low bar to raise. So I don't know. I haven't ran in it recently to see how it compares to some of the more pedigree shoes out there with traction and grip. But yeah, I think yeah, I think there's a lot of demand and excitement out there for the shoes that they're bringing, both high performance race day shoes as well as, some of their everyday trainers. But I mean, these colorways aren't exciting. They're kind of, again, in the same lane that Nike seems to always think that runners want to present themselves as.
I hate any shoe that comes out with a seasonal color, because yeah, it's just, that's not cool. It might look fresh and, fun for a month or two, and then it just looks dated. So yeah, it's not, their styles generally aren't for me, but I will say that any Nike apparel and things that I've had, and shoes as well, I haven't had a trail shoe since the Peg Trail 2, but their stuff's well made. I can't take that away from them. So, Troy, what do you think? Zegama 2?
I mean, it's a pass for me. I definitely would. I could not see myself. I mean, let me just say this. If I'm going to the ski slopes and I'm representing my retro 70s full body ski suit and I need something to wear at the lodge for drinking hot toddies, like, this looks like the kind of color and the look that you would want to go for. And like I'm with you, man. I like very neutral. I like neutral things that can kind of I like neutral colorways that can kind of go with a myriad of different color combinations, let's say. Not a big fan. I've never been a big fan of Nike in the trail. Like, I think I have a kind of a sore taste in my mouth from, back in the early teens, 2000 teens, when they had the opportunity to take trail by storm. They were, and then they just kind of pulled back in a major way. And I was a little frustrated with that, because I thought that the team that they had created around, Zach and David Laney and Tim Tolleson and Sally and like all that, what they were doing in trail back then was amazing to see. And they kind of stepped back for half a decade, and now they're back and they've got some cool shoes. But I don't know. I've just never been a big fan of Nike on the trails for that reason, for the fact that they weren't willing to stick with us in the long haul. And so, for me, this shoe's a pass. And, the teal, purple, magenta, hot pink colorway definitely doesn't make it any more desirable for me. So
at least it's like a gender neutral color. Anyone could wear this shoe. It's
Sure.
not like a guy's shoe or a girl's shoe. So, Ricky, what do you think of the Madden Vibram? Should actually mention, this is the shoe that Anthony Costalis ran Ultra Trail Cape Town in.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I think you lads are just old or something, because I think it's a really cool looking shoe, man. I think the colors are really cool, and it'll sell. It'll sell really well, that shoe. And like, going back, would say I had two of the Pegasus Trail 2s. I had two pairs of them, and the only problem I have with them is they were underwhelming. They didn't perform that well. They weren't very, like, I never came back from a run going, man, that was an unreal run, because the shoe felt like this or the shoe felt like that. It was just a shoe, and it did its job, but it didn't do an outstanding job. I never really sort of fell in love with them. I like the colors. I had a green pair, and I thought the color was cool, and that's what Nike do. They make cool stuff. But performance wise, nah, it was very underwhelming, I thought. And I had the Wild Horse as well, and very similar. I found that the compound they were talking about this outsole and midsole, that it was bouncy this and bouncy that, and it wasn't. It was very underwhelming. It felt like nothing. I could have been in a $30 shoe, and I wouldn't have noticed the difference. So I think Nike, they try to move in that direction, but then again, look, it's a $150 shoe. Like, it's not a $250 shoe. So, you're not going to be charged a ridiculous amount of money, but you're not going to get a fantastic shoe. It's a bit meh.
Have you run in the Pegasus Trail? We have the 5 coming out in May, $140, road to trail, everyday shoe. They went from React to React X, which basically is 43% less carbon used in the manufacturing. And I think maybe the main thing around this is this Nike Trail ATC. It's a new rubber compound in-house, and they're saying it's really good. But they've always said that about the rubber, and the rubber's always been shit. So, Ricky, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, again, now like the last shoe that was just on the screen, boys. The last shoe was a way better looking shoe than this. This just looks like an old man's shoe. This is a really boring looking shoe. But I bet you it'll be a good everyday training shoe. It'll probably be a workhorse. You get lots of mileage into it. And I think that rubber compound to have on the sole goes a long way. You'll probably get like, 1,000 kilometers, maybe more out of that shoe. But it'll just be everyday training wise. You'll not be bringing that to no race, and if you are, it's not going to perform very well.
Troy, what do you think? Peg 5? I do have this in the back of my head on this whole show that we may like lure you out of an Altra shoe. By the end of this, you may have like a new brand to go to.
I mean, I remember my first pair. I mean, it was the shoe I ran cross country in was a Nike Pegasus way back in the day, and I'll date myself, but that was like 25 plus years ago. It wasn't a trail shoe. I like the blue. I'm in North Carolina right now, baby blue. Go Tar Heels. I'm a fan of the colorway, but at the same time, I can't see myself running in a pair of Nike trail shoes like ever, and that's just like personal preference. There's just so many other great brands to support, and in general, it's just underwhelming to me. That being said, I don't have a lot of experience with their product over the last. I mean, like I said, the last time I ran in a pair of Nikes was 25 years ago. So,
Brian, what do you think? This doesn't look like a shoe I'd ever see on your feet.
Yeah, well, actually, it's got me feeling nostalgic because this colorway actually is a ripoff from their Nike Streak. It was a like a cross country flat from probably like the 2000 teens when I was still trying to rip around 5Ks. But the one thing I hated about the Pegasus Trail is like, I mean, the gripping of it, like you would be better off running in just the Pegasus road, like kind of the West Coast trails. You could get away with just use the road version of the Pegasus. It was built way better. I loved running in the Pegasus roads when I was still supporting some of the Nike products. But yeah, and then when they dropped the Pegasus Trail, I was excited, and the first one was a flop. So I'm not going back. But the colorway is kind of dope. Makes me feel like nostalgic.
This is the same colorway that they're using on the latest Invincible, the road shoe. So it's interesting that they're continuing that colorway across road and trail, which you don't really see often or at all, do we? I don't think so. So I kind of think that's interesting. But yeah, that colorway is way too American looking for me. And no Irishman would ever wear red, white, and blue with respect. So leave it at that. Ricky, you got to kick this one off. Come on. The Tecton X3, big price jump on this one. $275. Ouch. Full PIBA midsole like the Rocket X2, so that boy's going to be squishy. Vibram outsole, 35mm stack, bigger lugs, dual plate. And when's it available? Race week, baby. UTMB, August 2024.
And I'm excited about this shoe. Yeah, look, I'm a Hoka fan. I'm a Hoka racer. And the Tecton X has been my favorite go-to race shoe since it came out. That dual carbon plate, I like it more for the stability it gives you rather than, let's say, the speed that you'd associate with a carbon plate. And I'm very excited to see a dual carbon plate in that midsole, because that midsole is similar. They say it's similar to what's in the Rocket X. And if anyone has wore the Rocket X, it's super spongy. It's a really, really nice midsole. So it is. So I'm very excited about it. Yeah, if that shoe comes with a 5mm lug, then I think it's going to be a super shoe. I think it's going to be super shoe. I'm not so gone on the looks. The gator looks a bit, I don't know, out of place, and it looks like it was just stuck on. It doesn't look as sleek as what Salomon were doing with their gators. But look, I think if it's good enough for Jim Walmsley, it's good enough for me. That's as long as it is the same shoe that Jim Walmsley's got to use. But we don't know that, will we?
Some of the chat, some of the DMs, and also the response that we're getting on the broadcast channel vote, all has this one not trending that popular because of the booty. People are like, oh yeah, I don't really like shoes like that, but I love the previous Tecton, but I don't like this booty, and I like wearing ankle socks, and this won't work with ankle socks. I know, who could have thought anyone would have used that as a criticism? Brian, what do you think of this shoe?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be in the running for probably one of the ugliest shoes for next year. I mean, that thing is god awful. It's hideous. I mean, they took the ugliest colors and then decided to combine them together and then accent it with the laces. I mean, it's just bonkers how they could miss that bad aesthetically. And then yeah, I mean, let's be honest, like you listen or watch the Believe in the Run guys talking to the Hoka representative, and the way that she turned politician like that when they asked about the weight was hilarious because this thing's going to be a lunker. I think this thing is heavy, and the fact that she didn't want to go on record with any sort of weight estimate is pretty telling. And she wants to reference that little gator at the top as weight gain. I mean, that's funny. And I don't even know why go all in on the gator. I don't think a lot of people. I don't even think it's 50-50 on people who would prefer that. So between the aesthetics and the mandatory gator, or not releasing a version without the gator, are they trying to listen to the people? I mean, I'm the biggest Jim Wamley's fan as anybody, but just because he wears it at UTMB doesn't mean I'm all in. So you're going to have to do a little better than that to get me interested in it. And let's be honest, this is not the shoe that he set the course record and won UTMB in. They've already said he's already in a whole different shoe than this one. So that's telling as well. It might be a pass, and then let's see what comes out in 2025.
I mean, I'm just not a big fan of the built-in gator. I've used gators in the past, depending on the event. Like when I ran Grindstone, there was a tropical storm, so I wore gators because it's mucky and muddy and dirty and disgusting on Beast Coast trails, and I wanted to keep that stuff out of my shoe. I wore gators when I ran the Lost Coast and set the unsupported FKT there because I spent 22 miles running in sand. Like, you need gators if you're going to run on the beach. I don't see why you would need gators at UTMB, and the reason why people don't wear them is because, like, you're running on slabby granite the whole time. Like, there's not even I don't think they even have like little pebbles on that course to get in your shoe. I wouldn't know because I've never ran it, but I'm underwhelmed here. Like, I'm definitely not spending. If I'm going to spend $275 on a pair of shoes, there's maybe two or three brands. There's three brands that I would pull the trigger, and they're not Hoka. And that's just kind of where I'm at. Interested to see if there's any updates in their road models, because I have been looking at them to try to run on the roads end. So
If the TRE saw that shoe in all black, you'd be all over it. I know well you would. It'd look awesome. If that was all black from the gator down to the sole, it'd be a sexy looking shoe, hey.
I already said that I would be all in on a black X3, so no problems in admitting that. Not so sure I'd want to pay $275 for it. So moving on then, Speedgoat 6 coming out in June with a limited edition Western States colorway. It's 0.6 of an ounce lighter, and it's $155. So, Ricky, why don't you take us through this dog shit colorway that we've got on screen?
I will say it's a very nice shoe. I've not the color, right, but I've held that shoe in my hand all week this week because I've been doing like pre-season launch for next year's shoes with Hoka, and I've got to see this firsthand. And there's big changes from the Speedgoat 5 to the Speedgoat 6. It's pretty much a completely different upper. It's a different looking shoe. It's a more sleek looking shoe. It's a more faster looking shoe. But unfortunately for me, some of the colors they're not doing it for me. It's like, yeah, it's super grippy shoe, and it's gonna be a great shoe. It's gonna be a big seller, and it's gonna be what the Speedgoat always is. It's gonna be a fan favorite. But I just wish they had some different colors in it, because I'm not blown away with the colors.
Yeah, I mean, Speedgoat is probably the most popular trail running shoe across the globe, I would imagine, and for good reason. I mean, it's a pretty dependable shoe. I don't think the tweaks that they make to it year over year ever really have discouraged, one user from the next. They might have little gripes or complaints, but they do a pretty good job keeping it true to the Speedgoat ethos and legacy, but they're clearly flexing here, right? They're showing that no matter how ugly we make the Speedgoat, it's still going to fly off the shelves. Like, we can do nothing to offend people with the hideous colorway of the Speedgoat to deter the sales. Like, this is the only shoe that makes me want to look at the Speedland Cam Hanes colorway. Like, this thing is hideous. Like, what? It's a swamp gator. Like, what are we doing? This thing is nasty looking. It's bad. Like, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say it looks like everyone's a little like they're wearing salamanders on their feet when they put this thing on. But yeah, I mean, Wolfie makes it. I mean, Wolfie makes a good point. Like, this is probably the number one selling trail shoe on the planet at this point, right? The Speedgoat. I love that Carl makes I don't know what he makes off this, but every time you buy a pair of shoes, you're putting money right into Carl's pocket, which I really love. That, like, he's kind of become the Michael Jordan of trail running through this licensing of his name that he trademarked, the Speedgoat. I remember wearing the first Hoka shoe, and I liked it then because I don't think I knew any better. And I know Hoka's like kind of trimmed it up a little bit, so they're not like you're not like completely wearing moon boots. But I've never really just been a big fan of the Hoka trail stuff, and I like I said, the reason why I like the Speedgoat is more because I love the fact that Carl gets, every time it's like an angel gets its wings, every time someone buys a pair of Speedgoats, Carl gets a little cha-ching in the bank account. So but the colorway, like I said, like, dude, this is like you're wearing salamanders or alligators, or it's kind of trying to do this like weird camouflage, like retro camouflage thing, and it just, yeah, man, I don't know. I can't get down with it. I'm interested to see the Western States colorway. Shout out to my boy T.S. Weller, but I think what he did with the North Face Victus drop was probably the coolest Western States colorway. Limited drop shoe to do it, and so I hope Hoka can like live up to those expectations that he set back in 2021, 2022, or 2021. So
yeah, well, they're setting the bar quite low for them to make a good looking shoe. So yeah, we'll move on from Hoka, and we're saying there that we think that the Speedgoat's probably the best selling shoe. Another shoe, and we'll not really touch on it because I don't think it's particularly exciting, but we are moving on to Salomon. I think the Genesis, the S-Lab Genesis, was maybe the other big seller. I know maybe you guys in the States saw a lot of Speedgoats. We saw a lot of Speedgoats here too, but nearly every other shoe you were seeing was the Salomon Genesis, which I kind of thought was a bit of a strange looking shoe. I am quite interested in the look of this new Pulsar 3, the S-Lab Pulsar 3, out in spring, $200, 4mm drop. This is the shoe that Remy Bonnet, Sophia Lockley dominated the Golden Trail series in. This has been the Salomon elite shoe for the Golden Trail. Brian, why don't you kick us off here? What do you think of this?
It's a cool looking shoe. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think Salomon's kind of like the sub-ultra Speedgoat. I think they're like, they're the gold standard in the Golden Trail. Like, everybody who races the sub-ultra Golden Trail series, Salomon's kind of the way to go. They cut their teeth there, and they've got the hardware to back it up. But as you start to distance up, then yeah, it gets a little bit more shaky ground. So I don't know. I think with Killian's departure, Salomon's got a bit of an identity crisis, and they need to figure things out quickly because, not to switch topics totally, but like they tried to go into the road scene, and I haven't seen much, adoption with their road venture. The trail scene looks like it's kind of struggling. So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. If this is the one that kind of picks them up and, shows them some good sales, good for them. But outside of this, even this shoe I probably won't use, but yeah, at least it looks good.
For sure, this will be well made. It'll last. The rubber will go well. My only Salomon shoe I ever had a real big criticism of was the midsole life in the Ultra Glide. The first Ultra Glide, once it hit 100 miles for me, the squish just totally disappeared. I binned them actually, and I put them in a charity bin at UTMB 2 years ago. I was trying to walk around in them as a recovery shoe, thinking, well, it'll do for recovery. My legs were dead. The shoes were dead. I was like, fuck this. Get rid of them. Troy, what do you think? The Pulsar 3 Trail?
they have clean lines. I will say that. I like, they're always going to stay true to this like black and red colorway, which is okay. I'm not a big fan of the Salomon red and black, but that's them, and they stay true to the brand. I know people love their shoes because of how just aggressive they get with the lug. So if you really want to run on slop, like they really have you covered. I do like it looks like not a one-piece construction, but that upper does look pretty bomb-proof. It looks pretty legit. I've never been a fan of Hoka. Excuse me. I've never been a fan of Salomon just due to how narrow the last is for their shoes, and I kind of have. I wouldn't say I have hobbit feet, but I definitely can't cram myself into a slipper. I'm not a Cinderella, and that's like, I think a lot of people have complaints about Salomon on that tip. But I think from Wolfie's standpoint, like, I'm just going to tell you, brother, like in Europe, Salomon reigns king. Anywhere outside of the United States, Salomon reigns king. So I don't see a lot of people wearing their shoes in America. I think their hottest seller in America is the S Lab vest, the hydration vest. I think it's probably like their best moneymaker on the planet right now in the trail and ultra running scene is the vest, because I see so many people wearing their vest.
Salomon shoes are not made for America. They're not made for American feet. American trail runners like a wider toe box. That that is the massive complaint that we hear about it. And there bar a couple of models to try and pacify that market, Salomon just don't have that shape. Ricky, what do you think of this shoe? I think it looks pretty racy.
I think it looks class, and I've always been a fan of how Salomon design their shoes. I think they look really sleek. They look really fast. They just look super, super fast. But the problem I've had with Salomon, and it's not, I had the S Lab, and I had the one, like the S Lab before this with the boot construction. Bulletproof shoe, matrix upper is super, super tough stuff. It, like, no matter what you do with it, it never breaks down. It never rips. It never tears. But it is so shit on wet rocks. I mean, it doesn't matter what Salomon shoe you have. If you put it on a wet rock, you will be on your hole, man. I'm telling you. And your hole is your ass, lads. That's what your hole is. Every Salomon shoe I ever wore was shocking on wet rock. And like, that's what I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day. I was saying, yeah, Salomon make great shoes, but look, they don't have Vibram on the sole. It's like any shoe that doesn't have Vibram on the sole, I think on the trails in Ireland, is rubbish. You need Vibram on your soles on a trail shoe in Ireland. Otherwise, you're going to be on your hole.
Love it. You're giving me, like, I'm trying to think, what funny image will I put on the screen for Ricky sounding off about going on your hole? Anyway.
Big scar up here. Big, massive scar up here on my elbow where I turned. This is just before I became a Hoka racer, and I had a pair of S Labs, and I was training for the Seven Sisters race, and I was just after signing a contract for Hoka, and I was saying, if you don't get me the Jaws, the Hoka, the Evo Jaws, because they were after discontinuing that shoe. That shoe has like 8 mil lugs on it and some cushion. It was a beast of a shoe. And I said, if you don't get me that shoe, I'm going to have to race in the S Lab. And then, thank God, they were able to pull it out of the bag, and they got me a pair of Evo Jaws, and I got to race in them. I didn't end up in my hole, and I won the race, and I set the course record. So kudos to Hoka for coming through on that, so I didn't have to wear a pair of them and end up in my ass.
What's the stats for Seven Sisters? Like 50k with about 3,000 meters of vert?
Way off. It's 55k with 4,300 meters of climbing. Yeah,
amazing. That's proper spice. We said last week that Nnormal. Well, you said Nnormal weren't at TRE. I corrected you. I said, but they're not announcing a shoe. But they did. The Tomir 2 coming out in March, $170, and what's it getting? The only thing it ever needed, the super critical foam out of the Sherag. Which is an EVA. It's lighter, more durable, slightly wider toe, and they've changed the geometry, so there's a little bit more of a rocker. For me, Normal have come to TRE with proper upgrades to a shoe. Like, there was clear things that needed to be done to the Tomir. It was just a little bit lackluster. The foam was a little bit, but it just lasted. It was durable. The toe thing flipped down a little bit on my shoes. Apparently, they've added a stitch around that toe cap so it stays in place better. So proper solid updates and some fire colorways. I like this pink black combo, and I've seen some other variations of that. So, Brian, spit some sauce.
I mean, yeah, just to address the aesthetics. I mean, it's a tale of two shoes. I like the upper; it's clean. Again, probably looks like it's inspired by some other boutique brands from the Canadian era with the way that they've got their aesthetics looking. But we'll leave that alone for now. So let's move on to that midsole. It looks like my intestines, and I just got a dose of Pepto-Bismol. What is the midsole? I mean, the design, the geometry that they're using for it. I don't like it. It doesn't look right. It looks like like a Nike Shox or whatever company had that weird midsole material. I can't stand the midsole. It's jarring to my eye. But I'm sure I mean, on paper, you're telling me that this thing's supposed to address all of the issues. You had a long list of issues, by the way. So hopefully they did, shore up all of those issues. The toe box, that's good. I know you already made the gripe about us North American runners wanting a wider toe box, and guilty, I guess. We are a girthier group of trail runners, so we do like a little bit of a wider toe box. That's just how we roll on the trails. But yeah, looks like a cool shoe. Glad they showed up. I stand corrected. They brought a shoe with some actual upgrades. So yeah, I'm sure you're stoked, and you probably got nothing but good things and excitement to say about it.
I would definitely buy this because the toe bumper was the main issue for me. Changing the foam just makes it a more fun shoe, and the Tomir needed a bit of fun. It was just a wee bit too workhorsey without the excitement. So I'm quite excited about this. Troy, what do you think? You excited for this? What do you think of this pink?
Okay, so I'm not a fan of the pink. I like the upgrades though. I mean, you see me, dude. I'm here like I got a black hat, a black and white hat, and a white T-shirt on, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you see me? I'm just not the kind of guy that's gonna go throw pink on. That being said, like, go run in that for 20 miles and see what color that pink is. It's probably going to be a nice little coat of brown on there, and it'll look pretty clean. I do like that the white part of the upper, and it's just from an image, but it has kind of a more of a natural weave kind of feel. It kind of looks like it could be made from hemp, though I don't think it is, which I really do like. I like that kind of all that natural look. I think the updates are great. I'm excited to possibly maybe check out a pair of these when they do come out. I think the Tomir and then the Kirag, both of those shoes have looked really good to me, and I've wanted to kind of check out what Nnormal has to offer. So, I mean, going back to what I said originally, like I said, if I'm going to spend north of $200+ on some shoes, I think there's only like 3 brands I would entertain spending my money with, and Nnormal is definitely one of those brands. So
170 bargain. I think this could be the shoe for you. The other colorway I've seen is all black.
I'm a fan.
Maybe that one.
All black everything.
Yeah.
Bring it.
yeah. Bit of a cliche. You coming out saying that you like the potential that this is a hemp upper. Such a hippie, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Ricky, what do you think of this?
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the outsole. I'm a fan of the upper. It's just, at first glance, it looks like a shoe that begins with N but doesn't end in L, if you know what I mean. And I think Brian hit on it when he said it looks like one of his Canadian friends' shoes. It does have that look, and that midsole looks like it was just slapped on. But look, I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic shoe. The outsole, what I'm talking about there, it's Vibram, so I know it's going to stick to wet rock, which is going to be brilliant. And actually, that outsole, I put that on 2 pairs of my Hokas right now, so I have. But I think it's going to be a great shoe, and at $170, it's a steal. I got to say, Nnormal are really good at pricing shoes. Like they could charge $200+ for that shoe, and I think they get it. But they're playing it smart, and they're charging 170, and I think it'll sell really well. Good shoe, good shoe.
170 is a great price point. If you think about that in pounds, it's probably 140 quid, 150 euros.
Yeah.
That's solid. They are not jumping on the price hike bandwagon. Brian, what are you flexing there? And let's just clear something up. We don't have to hide behind any sort of mysteries. Just call it out. If we're going to say another brand, say it. We don't hold back on anything else in this show. So just that other brand that you're holding.
Yeah, we're all being cheeky, right? Yeah, we know. It's the 001 that they clearly have tried to emulate with that black stripe on the upper, if you notice right here. And then you can see the midsole of the Norda also has some sort of aesthetic geometry to it that they tried to give their own twist to, that again we don't seem to like. So yeah, I mean, again, nothing's unique, right? Nothing's original. That's fine. You want to take some cues from somebody that's doing aesthetics in a way that's really exciting in the marketplace. Then you want to do it after the best, right? I mean, if you are going to plagiarize or be influenced by somebody, do it from the best, and they are. They're choosing Norda. They're picking somebody that's leading the way with some new and exciting aesthetics, and yeah, I mean, good for them. But that midsole's a miss. I mean, maybe the all black looks better, but the pink just it's too jarring. I mean, it's fine.
Troy, we're coming to you next because I'm just labeling you the Altra guy because that's who you are in this group right now. So just have to deal with it. But the Mont Blanc is coming with an update. Not on the BOA version, just on the laced version. So it's called the Mont Blanc Carbon, laced only. The BOA is on they do it like a 2 years update cycle. So the BOA one will get updated next year. They've added basically carbon plate to it. Always meant to be like a sloppy fitting shoe. What do you think?
Okay, so I personally loved I've been through 2 pairs of the original Mont Blancs, right? And I love the shoe. I really did. So what I'm not a fan of, and maybe they address this in the new build, is the tongue had like 0 padding in it whatsoever, and it looks like they changed the laces, but they used to have those like round solid cord laces, and they would just dig into the top of my foot, and I actually had issues during a race based on it rubbing on a tendon, and that wasn't fun. But I mean, it looks good. I've been slowly moving away from the zero drop platform because I've just got a nagging Achilles thing that I feel like does better with a little bit of drop.
They're stupid. I'm cutting across it because they're stupid. Like zero drop is whatever about walking around it to strengthen your Achilles. Nobody should be running a zero drop shoe.
So, well, I ran in zero drop for 10 years, right? And I transitioned I used Innovate to transition. So I like went from 8 mil all the way down to zero drop over the course of like 2 months with different Innovate shoes, because they're the only company I know that you can actually transition that way. But yeah, I mean, the shoe itself, going back to it, it looks interesting. I was intrigued when I saw this. I won't be purchasing the shoe. I think I'd rather stick to, I like my Nordas right now. I'd rather stick to my Nordas. I'd rather try some other stuff that's coming out. I'd like to try some of what Nnormal has to offer. I do like to stay in that 5 mil and under drop range. So that's kind of, I mean, it's not necessarily like a sticking point for me, but that's kind of how I feel about it. This shoe looks good. I mean, I'm interested to see what it looks like in hand. I felt like the platform was a little narrow with the original Mont Blancs, and with the upper material, it had a lot of stretch to it, and I saw a lot of reviews and a lot of people complaining that it was really sloppy in trying to turn your ankles, because what would happen is if you supinate at all, you kind of get on the edge too much, and then that upper material stretches and your whole ankle just kind of the whole shoe would kind of roll over if you weren't solid on your stride. But and I experienced that a couple times when I was running in the shoe, but I really did like the shoe, and I thought when it came out, I thought it was like a welcome need to what Ultra was offering. It's a pass for me because I'm trying to move away from the brand. Like, I was a brand loyalist for a decade plus, and honestly, like, some of their decisions and the quality of their builds have just gone down since I originally started supporting the brand. So
it's funny you say that, you don't like to go too high on the stack, because of your zero drop routes. So what about this bad boy, the forward experience wild? So they've taken the forward experience, they've added a trail outsole to it, 4 mil drop, $145 out in May. This is like a 3 shoe experience line, a stability shoe, the forward experience neutral shoe, and now this trail version. So looks really boring to me, but does this float your boat?
No. As soon as they got bought out by, was it Vanity Fair? By Vanity, like the quality and their decision making and some of the things that they've done over the last like 4 years have just like, I've not been happy with what they're doing from a design standpoint. I don't like, it's cool that they're bringing in a little bit of drop to them. It's cool that they're trying to like create a new identity for them and open up the market to them, open up a little bit more of the market to them. But like, ultimately what happened is like you had this amazing privately owned company that was in it for the culture, in it for the runner, and then they got bought by a larger company. And I get that that's what it's about. Like that's like sometimes that's what you're building a company for, and obviously that's what the original founders of Ultra were looking to do, and they wanted to get out of making shoes, and they wanted to have some sort of exit, and they created that for themselves. But in that, the quality of their decision making has kind of moved away from what I would consider is their core constituency, and they've just tried to like pander to everybody. And so, a product for everyone is a product for no one, and I kind of slipped through the cracks.
Okay, so it's a no then. All right.
Oh yeah,
Does anyone...
long diatribe. It's a no.
Your hot take should be as long as their market sector. Brian, anything on Altra?
Yeah, I mean, I think if Salomon is the sub ultra darling, then Ultra is the super, and the back of the packer type of shoe. I don't know. When I get out on the trails, I don't know that I see a lot of folks in the Ultra just tearing things apart. So I mean, the ship sailed. They might as well lean into what they are. They're just like the thick boy sole, the zero drop, and they're wanting they got to appeal to the market that they cut their teeth in. Now I think, like Troy said, any attempt to try and capture some other segment of the market looks like it's a little unauthentic. People like Troy, your peace, love, and hippies out there, they don't want to support the machine, right? So like this is big business now. We can't associate. It's not the drop that he's concerned about. It's the big business that he'd have to affiliate himself with if he went back to Ultra. So he can't go there because I highly doubt he knows the difference on a shoe that's got a 6 mil drop or a 4 mil drop. None of us do. That's all bullshit. So I don't know. I never looked at Ultra. As far as these shoes are concerned, they won't even be a blip on the radar, and I don't know if I'll see many guys out here in the Arizona desert ripping anything with them.
Whenever the Altra guy was talking in any of the sort of promo videos from TRE, they've gone all in that anytime they mention the experience shoe, this is our 4 mm drop line. You're putting yourselves into this box now. Why can you just, like, you've broken out of the zero drop? Would it be really bad if you brought out a 6 mil drop shoe? Why now are you making it has to be a 0 or it has to be 4 in this product family? So yeah, not exciting. Ricky, what do you think?
Yeah, my experience with Altra was I won a race and I got a pair of Altra Lone Peak 4s for a prize. That was the prize. And I thought, deadly, this is a really cool shoe. And I was very excited to try it out. I could never run more than 5K in it, because if I dared to pick up the pace, my Achilles would shout at me and then fall out of my legs. It was so bad for my Achilles. I liked the shoe. I liked the look of it. I liked it was very comfortable shoe. So I wore it to work. I wore it to work pretty much every day and kind of used it to maybe strengthen my calves and strengthen my Achilles. But as far as a running shoe, especially like the way I like to run, maybe if you like to run super slow all day, every day, maybe it's a good shoe for you. But for someone who likes to put down the pace, drop the hammer every now and again, every time I did that, bang, it felt like my calves were going to explode and my Achilles going to fall out. So and the durability in them wasn't great either. But when I see the Mont Blanc shoe, this is where I see Altra are kind of going, okay, well, let's put a carbon plate in it. So you're putting a carbon plate in a shoe that splays at the front for your toes to go wide. So you have something that's super rigid and then at the front super sloppy. Man, everybody, not alone are they going to lose their Achilles, they're going to break their ankles. So it's a big no for me. It's a big no.
Yeah, I want to clarify. I didn't even mention the carbon plate, but I think that's a terrible idea too. I totally forgot that there is a carbon plate in the Mont Blanc. I like the update to it, but there's no reason to put a carbon plate in that shoe.
Go back to Hayden Hawks. When Hayden Hawks left, I'm not sure, did he leave or was he dropped at the time? But I think he left Hoka maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and then he went with Altra, and he might have won a race, but I think he was injured 90% of the time, and he was, I'm sure he'd tell you that himself, that he didn't have a great time in Altras, and now he's back with Hokas because they just didn't work for him. Because proper runners can't run in them. They're not for running. I don't know what they're for. They're hikers. Hikers love them, man. You look at the Appalachian Trail or whatever you call that. They all wear Altras and that, but they're all super slow.
And the dominance of American media in trail running means that I actually ran my first 50 miler in an Ultra shoe. My only Ultra Trail shoe I've ever owned. We're going back now, I don't know, 12, 13 years, maybe something like that. But yeah, it was the Lone Peak one.
Great shoe. I love that shoe too. So
yeah, I didn't mind it. Okay, guys, moving on. Let's have a look at Brooks. They've got a 4 new trail shoes. Just going to focus on the Catamount, and specifically the Catamount Agil, which is a new shoe for them. It's a sky running shoe. I've seen this and I didn't know what it was. I remember videoing this shoe on the feet of Robert Di Lorenzo at the Sky Race de Matissin in May. It has a 2-fingered plate. It's 212 grams, so that's 7.5 ounces, and it's got the same foam as the Hyperion Elite road shoe. 4.5 mil lugs, March release, and I think it's $180. So I think it looks bloody racy. It has a little bit of an S-lab about it. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the bottom shoe there, right? The one that's a bit more aggressive, completely more of a racer type. Like you said, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, they completely went after the Innovate toothy shoe and the Salomon S lab. But I mean, I'm struggling when you show me this first time I've seen it. I'm struggling thinking what race in the U.S. This would be used for, especially in my region. Like, what was the market they were trying to hit with this shoe? I mean, there's probably going to be a great use case for some of the elites, but boy, I don't know. That looks like it's a small use case, both with the. I mean, there's not much cushion there. So in the U.S. base, not sure who's going to be using it or who's going to be buying it. But I mean, Ricky, you're jumping in already. So
I'm jumping in. This is Mr. Sub Ultra saying, where am I going to use this shoe? It's a Sub Ultra shoe. This is a short distance shoe. That's what it's for. It's for 25k less. You know, I know they're advertising it as a VK shoe, but I mean, it's for anything up to 25k. Any more than that, there's no way it's gonna be enough cushion in it. But for 25k down, I'm wearing that all day or something like that. It's very like the Salomon S lab of old, and that was a 25k down shoe as well. You know what I mean? It's a Sub Ultra shoe. I can't believe I'm even saying the word, but that's because you brought it out of me, saying what race will I use this in? That's what it's for. Short distance racing, high end racing.
I don't think a lot of people here in the US train to be racing a 25k. I think they enter the 25k as they're building their fitness to get into 50k and above. I don't think there's a lot of people here in the US, the way that trail running is used and participated in, that are running the 25k as their premium event and throwing down times that are appropriate or that are deserving of a shoe like this. I mean, if you're running a 25k and you're taking a pedestrian time, you're probably not using this shoe.
Dude, what are you even talking about? It's like you weren't the same Wolfie from the Sub Ultra show. I would grab this shoe if I wanted to spend $180 on it. If I was going to do Broken Arrow, 26k or whatever, Mammoth, all of these types of races.
Pikes Peak.
No, you're not going to see your pedestrian runner running the Pikes Peak Marathon in that shoe. the guy that's taking 6 hours, 7 hours, he's going to get more cushion. He's not using that shoe. You're out of your mind.
Well, but that's not what we're talking about here.
That's what I'm talking about.
No.
You've just narrowed the market for this shoe. I understand it's got a very specific use case, but I'm saying who's going to be buying this? I'd be shocked at how much this sells.
Wolfie is doing what Wolfie does. You're going on the spectrum again. You're going from Remy Bonnet to the back of the pack. What about Aaron here in the middle? I can stick on this. I can be competitive. I can rip in this. Do you know what I mean?
There's not many Aarons out there. You're giving yourself too much credit. There's not many Aarons out there, buddy. I mean, come on.
Troy, what do you make of this white weapon?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got some. You should put some Icarus flame or Cupid flame feathers on the back of it, and flames coming out of the back of it. Man, it definitely it's got gas for sure. I mean, you know, I could definitely see a lot of people wanting to feel fast and put these things on and go rip like a 10K or a 15K, you know, like a 6 mile to half marathon race. I like the little red, gold, and green on the bottom. I mean, the dual plate thing is interesting. I'm like, I couldn't see myself wearing this shoe personally, but I don't necessarily need to put on a pair of shoes to feel fast either. And I feel like that's kind of where this market lies, is like, are you into doing the VK? Are you into showing up to Mammoth Trail Fest and doing like all 3 events? So maybe you run this shoe the first day and you run a different shoe the next day and a different shoe the next day, you know, because you need that kind of thing in your quiver. But yeah, maybe if I get into running VKs, I think about running in a shoe like this. But yeah, I mean, I will say it looks fast. It looks really fast, and I bet if you put it on, I bet you drop a couple minutes off of your 5K PR time just by the way you feel when you wear it, not necessarily how fast it makes you.
I think you guys are getting this wrong, because I would grab that shoe if I was going out and doing like proper hill reps, going out and doing like some work on the VK. I totally grab that shoe. It's the sort of shoe that you would race that stuff in, so therefore it makes sense to do your workouts of that style in this type of shoe. What do you think, Ricky?
Biggest problem with shoes like this is the lugs aren't big enough. Like, there's 4.5 mil lug. They missed the boat on this, and a lot of companies do that. They missed the boat, and they needed like a 6 or a 7, or even like an Innovate, like a 7 or an 8 mil lug, and then it becomes a serious competitor on the fells. Like, I don't know about you guys in America, right? But over here, you have proper open mountain running, proper fell running, where it's off trail, it's open mountain, it's boggy, it's swampy. You want a light, fast, technical shoe. But unfortunately for that shoe, it's only got 4.5 mil lugs. 4.5 mil lugs are going to fill up too quick with muck and dirt and shite, and then you're going to be on your ass. So they just kind of missed the boat on that. If that had 6 mil, 7 mil lugs, I'd be all over it.
2 for the Euros and none for the Americans. Moving on to a shoe that, no, we're not talking anymore about it. Put your hand down. We're
Flicking you away, buddy. I'm not talking. Let's go.
Thought you were getting hot. You're fanning yourself. So let's move on to La Sportiva Prodigio. It's their first ever shoe with a supercritical foam. I believe it's nitrogen infused. A 34 mil stack, 6 millimeter drop, 9.5 ounces, 270 grams. Coming out in spring, I think early spring, I think April, May, at $155. So nice price point. Do not hate this colorway. They do have some classic La Sportiva colors, which are probably shit, but this one looks not bad. So, Ricky, what do you think?
Unfortunately, I've never ran in a pair of La Sportiva, and the closest I ever got to trying on a pair of La Sportivas was I met Anton Kapitschka over in Italy. And that's about all I know about La Sportivas, that he really thinks they're cool. So I've got to think that they're good shoes. I know you're a super fan, but I know very little about them, and I've never had much interest in them. I never thought they were a shoe that grabbed my imagination. They didn't grab me. They just looked a little bit boring. Their colorways are boring. This is yeah, it's a different color, but I'm not a fan of this color either. And unfortunately, I know nothing about this shoe, and I don't care that I know nothing about this shoe.
Yeah, look, La Sportiva, it's family owned, but they're known for making shoes that last. you would normally see more people wearing La Sportiva than anything else. The Acacia, the Mutant, stuff like this. Races like the Tour de Gent, maybe more technical races than UTMB. More recent years, Hoka have come through and taken market share off everybody. So I think you see a little bit less La Sportiva. They also haven't been in the super foam game, but they are now. So, Brian, what do you make of the Prodigio?
Yeah, I think Ricky hit the nail on the head. It's kind of an impossible shoe to get your hands on. Like, I mean, I don't know. They're cool, or at least everybody that wears them thinks they're cool. Just ask them. It's kind of this like running culture of La Sportiva kids. They're all hip, right? It's like you're making a statement without having to say anything. That's how I think of La Sportiva. I don't know. I've never seen one. Never had one in my hands. Probably won't ever get the chance. It's like trying to catch a leprechaun or something over here in the States. So cool. I mean, I don't know. I'm not feeling the colorway.
100% I will buy this shoe. I had hands on this shoe at the La Sportiva booth at UTMB, and it was probably the shoe I was most excited about. So I can see this being a good 100-miler shoe. Troy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple friends here in America that love their Mutants. Like, they are diehard about them, and they really like to run in them. They say nothing but great things about those shoes. So interested to see. I'm definitely gonna have some conversations with them and see what they think about the move to the supercritical foam. Yeah, the colorway's okay. I mean, it's definitely not quite as holy cow as that Nike shoe, the Zegama 2 that we were looking at, but it's still a little loud for me. I would love to try out a pair of La Sportivas. Like I said, I have a handful of friends that love running hundreds, and they love their Mutants. Like, you can't, from my dying hands, kind of pull the shoe away from me kind of situation. Like, they are like madly in love with the shoe. So,
Troy, it's gone nighttime on you again. You're in the cave, dude.
Yeah.
It's blackout in Mr. Meadows' house.
Yeah, well, I thought we were gonna be done recording half an hour ago, and I forgot to turn the lights on in the room. So
you're just so in tune with your circadian rhythm that that you can't have it any other way. Just go by the sun and nothing else. So
yeah, man.
Let's. This isn't a shoe, but I think it's worth a notable mention just because I think it looks preposterous. So, Brian, I'm going to give you first take on this. What do you think? The Ultimate Direction Exodus vest, 7-liter volume, $180. We've seen Jason Schlarb wear this for, I would say, going on a year-ish. What do you think?
Yeah, I just haven't. I mean, I don't know. I like Ultimate Direction. I like Schlarb. So it's disappointing for me to have to say I'm not really keen on the sports bra type hydration vest. I had used Naked's version of it previously, and it just radiates so much heat on the body, on the core. It's tough to stay cool. So I don't know. Maybe you address that by only using it in certain climates. I don't know. It seems like in an ultra, our body size kind of adjusts, right? So like, how do you tailor that to you as you are shrinking down your bladders or your soft flask, fuel's coming in and out of it? I mean, I don't know. He got second place, so it seems to work well for him. But I'm not as jacked as he is, so I don't know. I might have to get like the extra small version of that one to fit my frame. So not excited. It's never been a type of fit that I thought worked well for carrying water and fuel.
Ultimate Direction makes some good stuff, but I think anyone that has been an Ultimate Direction fan has only been an Ultimate Direction fan until they've tried on the Salomon S Lab vests, because they are next level better. It's like going from Black Diamond to Lecky. You think Black Diamond pulls are great, and then you try on the quick release Lecky and you're like, shit, fuck those Black Diamond pulls, never using them again. So I think this just looks strange. Slarb's a lovely guy, great guy. Obviously, a Norda guy, so you're not going to throw any shade there. But we know he's a good guy regardless. But we're talking about the vest here, and it looks more like something a hybrid athlete would fill with sand and go for a run. Ricky, what do you think of this contraption?
Yeah, I don't know, but like we'd say, the vest I wear is a compress board vest, and there's a zip in the front, so it's almost like you put on a top, right? And it wraps around, and yeah, you have to get the size pretty much dialed in, but I can adjust it on the two sides. So I can, if I feel like it's too tight, I can just ease it off here, and I will get that. I'm not sure if you get that on this vest. And then just the color, and on the compress board, I'm able to pull down that zip if I feel like I'm overheating. Okay, whereas in that doesn't have that option, so it's all sealed at the front. So more than likely you're going to overheat in it. But the colors as well make it look very military. It looks like something, and I don't know, someone in the Marines to be wearing, or something with the color. You're just expecting Schlarb to be coming across the hill with the M16 or something. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, I'm not sure what the storage is like in it, in the front, in the back. What you say, it was 7 liter? It's
7 liter, and most of it is in the front. The back has two pouches. It has the horizontal, like the normal pack, like some of the packs have got, and then it's got like a bladder reservoir, which you could also stuff a jacket in. But I think the majority of the weight you're putting up front, which again I'm not sure is how I'd want it.
Yeah, maybe if it was all black, maybe I'd be looking at it different, and it might look like something Batman would be wearing, and I think it'd be cool. Batman on the trails, everything looks deadly when it's black. Like, it looks very stealth. But in that colorway, it just looks strange. When I saw him cross the finish line in his last race, that's kind of the first time I've laid eyes on it. I just thought it looked weird. It looked like he was wearing a bra. It just looks very, very strange.
Troy, what do you think? Do you like the hybrid athlete military vibe?
This is like Naked and Ultimate Direction had a baby or something, and like I can't get behind it, man. I maybe it's this thing because it's like different, and so I don't like it because it's different, and I'm I don't know, like I like a vest to kind of be open in the front as well, slightly, for all the reasons everyone already mentioned. But I just always looked at like the Naked offering, and I look at this, and I'm just like, I don't even know how I would get this on. Like, if I'm running 100, I like to take my vest off. Like, if I like, I'm not at the tip of the spear, man. I'm not spending 30 seconds in an aid station. Like, sometimes I come into aid and I want to spend 10 or 15 minutes with my crew, and I'm going to take my vest off, and I'm just going to hang out and like sit in a chair, eat some quesadillas, drink some ramen, and get up and get back on the show. But I'm definitely not trying to like, I don't know, slither back into my sports bra in order to run the race, So I just don't know what the use case is for this for me as someone who kind of runs more toward the middle of the pack, and
if you're spending 15 minutes in an aid station, you're not in the middle of the pack, boy. You're at the back of the pack. Come on. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
You can look at my Ultra sign up. I run in the middle of the pack. And to be clear, the last time I spent 15 minutes at aid station, I had my son on my knee and I was feeding him bits of PB&J. So it was definitely like a little bonding moment for us, Yeah, exactly. Like right here, the smallest violin playing Hearts and Roses just for me. But like I said, like, sometimes I like to take my vest off, man, and I definitely can't see unless there's some sort of way that you're getting in and out of this thing that you just can't see from the picture. Yeah, unless like if you have to like literally slide this thing up and down. Oh, there's a zip on the side. Okay,
there's a zip on the right hand side. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes a little bit different.
And then the other side has this drawstring, which is used to tighten it.
To tighten it up. Yeah. Okay. I just, in the colorway, like I'm okay with the colorway. Like I don't, I mean, it does look like something you're going to go ruck in, like put 30 kilos in the back and go huck up a mountain or something, but, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this looks like Naked fired one of their designers and they got picked up by Ultimate Direction or something.
Ricky, stick this on, and I'm disappointed there's no bottle in it. Please show the audience this piece of hydration perfection.
What does Buzz say? Doesn't he say to infinity and beyond or something? Huh?
750 milliliters of caffeine right there.
So easy to get my cycling bottle out of my trail vest.
We're never going to move on from Satisfy Mod collab until it happens. So yeah, I think that's a good way to end this, guys. This has been a fun one. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. That's all from us, and we'll see you next week for episode 7. Peace. Thanks for making it to the end of the show. We appreciate it. Why don't you scroll down now and hit the like, click on the subscribe, hit the little notification bell, tell your friends about Trail Talk. You know it's a cool show, we're having fun, we're not pulling any punches, we're just giving you our hot takes about the latest news in trail and ultra. Anyway guys, we'll see you next week for the next show. Peace!